In this piano tutorial, we'll be learning the song Worthy of It All in the key of F major. And like always, I'll be sharing my approach to this song. I'm sharing some different substitutions or passing chords that you can use within the song or any other song with similar progressions, okay? So this song starts out with a very simple progression, right? As an intro. We start off on the 4, and I'm going to play the melody as well as the chords, right? It sounds something like this. Right? We start on the 4, then the 5, then it repeats. And this is all actually the same progression as the first verse, right? 4, 5, back to the 4, then the 5, then we use a 3 to get back to the 4, then the 5 to land on the 1, right? So given that we have only like 3 or 4 chords within this progression, we have a lot of freedom to basically either substitute or enhance some of the chords that we are already using. So I'm going to play the introduction one of the ways, I guess, that I would play it, right? So starting again on the 4, you're going to notice that sometimes I'm going to substitute the 4 for the 2, right? It's a very common substitution, and the reason why it works, as I've explained in other videos as well, right? The 4 and the 2 actually have 2 notes in common. So most of the times you're going to see that substitution happening for one another. So the introduction or the first verse with my approach, right? Right, so what did I do there? What I did was basically start off the same way, right? I'm playing this 4 chord, which is technically a 1/4, if you want to think about it this way, or a sus chord, right? I'm maintaining that melody. Then for this 5 chord, I'm not simply playing a C major, right? I'm actually including this chord right here, which is a C, E, F, and G, right? I consider it almost like a sus chord combined with the resolved chord, which would be the root position for the C, right? So then from here, we can actually use the 3 as a passing chord to get back to that main chord of the 4, right? Which is the first chord, right? So let's say we ended off on the 5. Right, we can use this 3 chord, which I'm actually voicing as a 5 or a C major over a 3 and the root, which is F, right? So I get this F major 9 over A type of sound. So right? Then here what I did was actually substitute, or let's say invert, right? I inverted this 4 into this other 4, right? Instead of playing this B flat sus 2, I played the 3, the major 7, and the 8 or the 1. Still maintaining the right hand the same, right? That C, F, C. So it basically gives it a little bit of variety, right? And then instead of playing a 5, I can substitute that 5 for a 7. For example, this voicing right here, right? Where I'm playing C, sus 2 over this 7. So you can include some grace notes, right? I've taught this in one of my previous tutorials over the grace notes, or about the grace notes, right? And then what I did was actually shift the whole progression down an octave to give it more, I guess more fullness, right? So after I finished on the C, right, I went down to this 3 as a passing chord to start on the 4 but down an octave. Right, still using this 7 as a substitution for that 4 sometimes. Up to the 7, and then instead of going to the 3 to go to the 4, right, I went to the 6. But also, instead of going to the 4 like I just did right now, I substituted this 4 for the 2. Right? So, all the da 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 da. So da 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 da. And then I did this 2-1-7 progression, which I love, right? I love that sound of that descending, those descending chords, right? Where I go from the da 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 da. I play the 2, and then for the 1, very important, instead of just playing a regular 1, I'm actually going to voice this 1 as a 6, right? And it sort of gives us that feeling that it's not resolved, right? It's sort of serving as a passing chord to get to the 7, right? I usually play up here, right, where I play the 1, the 6, and the 10th, right? And you can see that the shape of the chords are actually pretty similar. From this 6, right, we can call it a 6, an inverted 6, to this 5, right? So 2, 6, 5 over 7, and then a 1. Right, so like I said before, this is basically the first verse of the song. So after this, we actually go into the chorus of the song, which plays like this, right? We play the 1, you're worthy of it all. These are the basic chords. You're worthy to the 5. Da, 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 da. Then the 4. Da, 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 da. Then the 5. You deserve the glory. And then back to the 1, right? A very easy to learn progression. So like before, we have the freedom to experiment with different changes to the chords, right? So worthy of it all. Something that I like to do is start off with that 5, not just a regular 5, but a suspended 5. And something about this voicing that I'm using is that I'm actually maintaining the melody up here, right? This A. You're worthy of it, right? Worthy of it all. Now, quick theory behind the suspended chord. It's a C13 sus, right? All this means is that I'm playing a C, right? The 4 is suspended. I'm adding that 7, right? That minor 7, which gives us that dominant function. And I'm also playing the 9th and then the 13th, which is actually the melody, right? But a simpler way of thinking about this chord, right? I'm basically playing, let's say we want to play a C13 sus on the C, right? We go down 2 half steps to the B flat, and we form a major 7 chord, right? And all we do is play over the C, right? That's an easier way of forming this chord. And all I did was add those extra repeated notes, right? So go back to the 1, right? The next chord is actually a 5, worthy of it all, right? But instead of going directly to the 5, we can actually use a passing chord. And one of the most common passing chords, although we have to be careful not to overuse it, is actually a 2, right? Or a 2 over its 3, right? So in this case, a G over B. So you're worthy of it all. right? So I use you're worthy of passing chord on G to land on this 5 chord. For from you are all things, right? In this case, I'm using the 3 as a passing chord to get to the 4. From da 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 da, right? In this case, I'm also using that substitution that we did before, right? Where we inverted the 4 for this inversion of the 4, right? B flat major 9 over D. And then we're back to the 5. Right? And since this chorus actually repeats and we stay on the 1, right? Right? It says, you deserve the glory. And we stay on that 1 for 1 measure, another measure, worthy of it all. And then we're back on the 1. So we have that whole space to actually build our own progression, right? We can be a little bit, or experiment a little bit, be more creative with the progression that we use to basically land us back to that 1. So one of the things I like to do is this exact progression, right? So we finish off on you deserve the glory. I like to do this going to the 4. You're worthy of it all, right? So what I did here was play a grace note, right? I did E, F, E to D to land us on that 4. Then I played this 2 chord, right? G minor 11, and then land us on the 5 as a passing chord to get us back to that 1. Right? So once again, you deserve the glory. You're worthy of it all. And we're back to the same progression. You're worthy of it all. Now let's move on into the last part of the song, which says day and night, right? We start on the 1, night and day. The basic progression would basically be a 1, 5, 6, 4, right? Then a 6, then a 4. So we can actually substitute some of these chords. For example, we start off on the 1, day and night, night and day it is. Then we play a 3. But again, I'm voicing this 3 like I did before, an F major 9 over A. Let isn't arise. Then a 6, night and day, and then what I do for the 4, instead of playing a regular 4, I actually play it in a way that it resembles the melody, right? So I played this 5 over 4, and then I resolve it to a regular 4. So let ends is day and night, night and day, right? And we can get creative with the different chords. Day and night, right? Instead of going back to the 6, in this case, we can substitute that 6 for a 2. Day and night, then a 3, night and day, then a 4. If you want to get really gospel, day and night, right? All I did there was play a minor 2, or sorry, a minor 4, right? We can add the 6 if we want over a 2, right? So we get that G half diminished. Day, and then we go to that 1 over 5. Night and day, that isn't around. Day, night and day, that isn't around. Right? A bunch bunch of different progressions that we can use for this part of the song. So that's basically the whole song. What I want to do now, like always, is record the whole song um without any interruptions, and I'll include a MIDI file in the description of this video. That way you can download it and study it on your own time.